Why didn't Rome conquer Persia? Imagine this. You're a Roman soldier stationed at the border of the Roman Empire, staring out into the vast, unforgiving expanse of the Persian Empire. You're part of a legion that's been trying for centuries to conquer this great eastern power, but somehow, despite the immense strength and influence of Rome, you just can't seem to crack the Persian code. Now, why is that? What was it about Persia that made it so elusive to Roman conquest? Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Eccentric History. Today we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing what-ifs in history. We're going to explore the reasons behind the failure of one of the mightiest empires in the world, Rome, in conquering the equally formidable Persian Empire. But before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on any of the exciting stuff. The unending wars. Roman-Persia, two of the ancient world's most dominant empires, were constantly at odds with each other. The Roman-Persian Wars, which spanned over 600 years, were a series of conflicts that began in 54 BC and lasted until the Arab conquest of the Sassanian Empire in the 7th century AD. To truly understand why Rome couldn't conquer Persia, we need to delve deeper into the long and complex history of the Roman-Persian Wars, spanning over 600 years. These wars were a series of conflicts that shaped the destinies of both empires and the world at large. The first major phase of the Roman-Persian Wars was fought between the Roman Republic, later the Roman Empire, and the Parthian Empire. The wars began when Crassus, seeking military glory and the riches of the East, invaded Parthian territory in 54 BC. The Battle of Carrhae, as mentioned earlier, was a turning point in the Roman-Parthian Wars, as the Parthians demonstrated their military prowess and halted the Roman expansion into their territory. Over the next few centuries, numerous battles, skirmishes, and diplomatic incidents took place between the two empires, including notable events like the Parthian invasion of Syria in 40 BC and the Roman campaigns under Emperor Augustus. The second major phase of the Roman-Persian Wars involved the Sassanian Empire, which overthrew the Parthian Empire in 224 AD. The first significant conflict between the Romans and the Sassanians occurred in 230 AD, when Sassanian ruler Ardashir I invaded Roman territories in the east. Emperors like Septimius Severus and Caracalla had already conducted military campaigns against the Parthians in the 2nd and 3rd centuries, but it was the rise of the Sassanians that marked the beginning of a more intense period of conflict between Rome and Persia. One of the most famous episodes from the Sassanian Wars was the Battle of Edessa in 260 AD, when the Sassanian ruler Shapur I captured the Roman Empire Valerian and held him captive for the rest of his life. This humiliating defeat shook the Roman Empire and set the stage for a series of tit-for-tat campaigns and battles over the next few centuries. Key events in this period include the Emperor Galerius' successful campaign against the Sassanians in 298 AD, which resulted in the Treaty of Nisibis, and the previously mentioned campaign led by Julian the Apostate in 363 AD. The final phase of the Roman-Persian Wars took place between the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, and the Sassanian Empire. This phase of the conflict saw some of the most intense and brutal warfare between the two sides. The Byzantine Emperor Justinian I launched a series of campaigns in the early 6th century in an attempt to reclaim lost Roman territories, but these efforts ultimately failed to make lasting gains. The climax of the Byzantine-Sassanian Wars came in the early 7th century, with the climactic Byzantinian-Sassanian War of 602 to 628 AD. This conflict saw the Sassanian Empire under the rule of Chosroe II capture vast swathes of Byzantine territory, including the crucial cities of Jerusalem and Alexandria. However, the Byzantine Emperor Heraclius led a brilliant counter-offensive that not only reclaimed lost territories, but also threatened the Sassanian heartland. The war concluded with the signing of a peace treaty in 628 AD, but both empires were left weakened and vulnerable to the rising power of the Arab Muslims, who would go on to conquer both the Sassanian Empire and the significant portions of the Byzantine Empire in the following decades. So the Roman-Persian Wars were a seemingly never-ending cycle of invasions, counterattacks and diplomacy, with neither side managing to gain a decisive advantage over the other. Rome and Persia spent centuries locked in this fierce struggle, which drained their resources, claimed countless lives, and dramatically shaped the political landscape of the ancient world. It's important to remember that the Roman-Persian Wars were not just about the clash of empires, but also about the people, cultures, and ideas that influenced the world for centuries to come. Before we move on, share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Roman leaders and failed attempts. Throughout history, many Roman leaders tried to conquer Persia, but none succeeded. Let's take a look at some of the key figures and their attempts. Crassus. Marcus Licinius Crassus, a wealthy Roman general and politician, was one of the first Romans to wage war against the Parthian Empire, which was the dominant Persian power at the time. In 53 BC, Crassus led the ill-fated invasion culminating in the disastrous Battle of Carrhae, where the Romans suffered a crushing defeat. Crassus himself was killed in the battle, and the Parthians solidified their reputations as a formidable foe. Roman Emperor Trajan came close to achieving the dream of conquering Persia in the early 2nd century AD. He successfully invaded the Parthian Empire, capturing its capital, Ctesiphon, and annexing the Mesopotamian territories. However, Trajan's victories were short-lived as revolts erupted in the newly conquered lands, and the emperor had to withdraw his forces to deal with other threats to the empire. Upon Trajan's death in 117 AD, his successor Hadrian abandoned the eastern conquests and focused on consolidating the Roman Empire's existing borders. Julian the Apostate, also known as Julian II, was the last non-Christian Roman emperor. In 363 AD, he embarked on an ambitious campaign to conquer the Sassanian Empire. The new Persian power that had replaced the Parthians. Julian's campaign initially saw some success as he managed to bypass the heavily fortified Persian capital, Ctesiphon, and march deep into Sassanian territory. However, Julian's supply lines were overstretched and he was forced to retreat. Tragically, he was mortally wounded during a skirmish, and his death marked the end of his invasion attempt. Why Rome failed to conquer Persia. So why couldn't Rome conquer Persia despite its numerous attempts and powerful armies? There are several factors at play here that gave Persia the upper hand and left Rome disadvantaged. The vast distances between Rome and Persia made it logistically challenging to maintain supply lines, which were essential for providing food, weapons, and other necessities to the Roman soldiers. The terrain also caused problems, as the Roman army had to traverse deserts, mountains, and other inhospitable landscapes that were unfamiliar to them. This not only took the toll on the soldiers' physical and mental well-being, but also slowed their progress and made it difficult for reinforcements to reach the front lines. The Persian Empire had a long history of strong and capable leaders who were skilled at diplomacy, military strategy, and administration. This allowed the Persians to maintain a stable and powerful empire, which was better prepared to defend against Roman aggression. Persian rulers such as Shapur I and Khosrow I were instrumental in repelling Roman invasions and preserving their empire's territorial integrity. The Persian military tactics were crucial factors in their ability to resist Roman conquest. Over the centuries, the Persians developed and refined their strategies to counter the Roman military machine effectively. Let's take a closer look at some of the key aspects of Persian military tactics. One of the most significant advantages the Persian armies held over the Roman counterparts was their highly skilled and well-equipped cavalry. Both the Parthian and Sassanian empires made extensive use of heavy cavalry known as cataphracts. These heavily armoured horsemen, clad in scale and lamella armour and equipped with long lances or spears, were capable of devastating charges that could break through Roman infantry lines. In addition to the heavy cavalry, the Persians also employed light cavalry, which was highly mobile and versatile. These horse archers were skilled in hit-and-run tactics, using their superior speed and agility to harass and wear down the Roman legions. The Persians were also renowned for their archery skills, and this played a vital role in their military tactics. They used composite bows which had more power and range than traditional bows used by the Romans. This allowed Persian archers to strike from a distance, inflicting casualties on the Roman infantry before they even engaged in close combat. Persian commanders were adept to using the local terrain to their advantage. They would often choose battle sites that were most favourable to their cavalry and archery, such as open plains or areas with natural obstacles that could impede the Romans' infantry advance. The Persians often resorted to guerrilla warfare, using hit-and-run tactics and ambushes to harass and wear down Roman forces. This strategy was particularly effective in the vast and inhospitable landscapes of the Persian Empire, where the Romans found it challenging to maintain supply lines and communication. The Persians could retreat into the wilderness, regroup, and then launch a surprise attack on the vulnerable Roman columns. In several instances, the Persians employed scorched earth tactics to deny Romans access to vital resources such as food, water, and shelter. This strategy involved destroying or removing anything that could be of use to the invading Romans, forcing them to rely on their overstretched supply lines. As the Romans advanced deeper into Persian territory, they often found themselves struggling to maintain their forces, ultimately forcing them to retreat or face defeat. Another contributing factor were the internal strifes that existed within the Roman Empire. Rome was often plagued by internal strife, with rival factions vying for power. This made it difficult for the empire to focus on a single unified campaign against Persia. The constant need to secure the empire's other borders and deal with revolts within its territories also drained resources and attention away from the Persian front. Rome's inability to conquer Persia was due to a combination of geographical, political, and military factors. The harsh terrain and strong Persian leadership made it difficult for the Romans to achieve victory, while internal strife and overexertion of resources within the Roman Empire further complicated their efforts. Thanks for tuning in to Eccentric History. Before we sign off, be sure to hit the like button and click on the notification bell so you never miss a video.